Hey fight fans, welcome back to the Fight Book. This is the Indian accent guy here to keep you updated with the fight world. Today we have news from Dan Hooker as the backup for UFC 318 headliner for the BMF belt. Garcia's heated press conference. Naoya Inoue's next fight in September is signed. Usyk versus Fury Trilogy and Canelo Alvarez versus Eubank Jr. in UK. So without wasting any time, let's start the video just like always with the UFC section. About UFC 318 headliners backup, Dan Hooker revealed he was supposed to fight at UFC 318 and be the backup for Poirier versus Holloway, but he needs a second surgery on his hand, which is not that severe, but it is just needed to cut open and clean out some scar tissues. He says that would put him 9 weeks before this fight, so it would take a perfect storm for him to be able to be ready by then. If Hooker gets a fight at UFC 318, who do you think he would fight? Anyway, Daniel Cormier believes the UFC will drop the BMF title if Poirier wins at UFC 318. He says it's not a real world title and the UFC will get rid of it if Dustin Poirier wins. Anyway, from UFC Atlanta headliner Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley, we have Joaquin Buckley's new video where he is praying for Bilal Muhammad to win this fight.
Because if he doesn't win and JDM wins, I'm already know the UFC got different moves that they trying to do.
Moreover, Michael Bisping believes Kamaru Usman should consider retirement if he is to lose to Joaquin Buckley at UFC Atlanta next month. Then from this weekend's UFC Des Moines card, we have Des Moines' own Jeremy Stephens declaring himself as the real effing main event. Card's co-main eventer Rainier the Raider weighs in on potential Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev fight, and he believes it's gonna be a long night for Khamzat if he doesn't choke the champ early. And the main eventer Davison Figueiredo responds to the pictures he recently uploaded on his Insta account and revealed that were old pictures when he was coming off an injury. He says he is very professional and is definitely gonna make weight, and we can see his professionalism in his latest photo shoot. Anyway, Figueiredo sends a message to Merab Dvalishvili for his UFC 316 title defense and says, "Knock Suga out, you are the best." From Merab Dvalishvili, we got a video of him where he says he can take on a gorilla in a one-on-one fight. And that is all in this UFC section. Now let's move towards the boxing section. In the boxing world, we got the press conferences of this weekend's Fatal Fury cards. First, there were Garcia versus Romero press conference where Haney responds to the crowd's boos by making his intentions clear.
When I dust Jose Ramirez off on Friday, I'm gonna get to y'all boy Ryan after. That's it.
Then the things got heated up between Garcia and Haney's and they erupted into an explosive war of words.
This is not the same Ryan Garcia.
No.
Everyone
I got multiple personalities, bitch.
This is going to be
And you don't want to see the crazy one.
And then in the next moment, Bill Haney and Oscar De La Hoya nearly got physical after some comments about Golden Boy Promotions. Security was needed to interrupt. Anyway, Team Lopez went back and forth with Team Haney before the press conference, and then a female member of Lopez's team gets heated with Terence Crawford after the press conference.
Shut up, bitch! Shut up, bitch!
And lastly from this card, Turki Al-Sheikh got a New York firefighter fighting a New York police officer to open up the Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero card. Now the card have 5 fights in total. Anyway, all fighters made weight and the card is good to go. The next press conference was Canelo versus Skull, where the undercard fighters Martin Bakole and Efe Ajagba also clashed in a war of words.
You keep talking shit.
Don't run.
I'm gonna close your mouth.
Don't run.
Trust me.
Do no fucking
I will
run in
close
the
your
ring.
mouth.
The headliner William Skull says his purse for this fight with Canelo Alvarez will give his family security for the future. The IBF super middleweight champion is expected to make 7 figures when he faces Canelo this weekend. Anyway, the WBC has unveiled the new commemorative belt which will be awarded to the winner of Alvarez versus Skull. On the one hand, the UFC is trying to get rid of their BMF belt, and here in the boxing world, they're making new fake belts every weekend. Anyway, we also have a news from Naoya Inoue who is fighting this Sunday. Eddie Hearn have confirmed that the deal for Naoya Inoue versus Morodion Ahmadaliev 2 is now finally done, and this fight will probably be taking place on September 14th if Inoue wins. From last week's Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Ben 2 card, the Ring magazine confirmed that this card generated around 620k PPV buys worldwide and over 16 million in pay-per-view revenue. Which means that what Eddie Hearn told yesterday on Ariel Helwani show that this fight did more than a million pay-per-view buys was a wrong statement. Anyway, Hearn also says that he spoke to Eubank's promoter Ben Shalom and asked him if Ben and Eubank Jr. doing the rematch, and Shalom replied, "Of course, we are doing it." If you don't know, Eddie Hearn do not want this rematch, but everyone else want it. Anyway, Canelo Alvarez has revealed his desire to fight in the UK, and he says Chris Eubank Jr. would be the perfect partner to fight in front of the UK crowd. Now, if the Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2 happens and Eubank and Canelo both gets past Ben and Crawford, Canelo versus Eubank in the UK would be massive not only for UK fans but for the every boxing fan around the world. Anyway, Chris Eubank Sr. revealed he dressed in disguise when he reunited with his son Chris Eubank Jr. the night before the Conor Ben fight. Eubank Sr. met with his son at the hotel and made sure the media didn't notice. Next, we have news from Usyk versus Dubois 2. After his face-off versus Dubois yesterday, Usyk had said in an interview that after Dubois rematch, the next fight will be his retirement fight, and he has two names in his mind, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. And Fury's response was calling for that trilogy, where he says he beat that effort 2 times and the world knows the truth. Anyway, next we have a news from Fabio Wardley versus Jarril Miller fight, and it is not a good one. Due to a shoulder injury, Jarril Miller is out of his June 7 clash versus Fabio Wardley, scheduled to take place at Portman Road. Queenberry says they will announce a replacement opponent in next 48 hours. So if you are not subscribed to this channel, subscribe it. I will update you as soon as the fight is announced. Anyway, the two fights we already know are happening have been officially announced with their poster released. First is Richardson Hitchens' first title defense versus former undisputed lightweight champion George Kambosos Jr. And the second is Sebastian Fundora's WBC title defense versus Tim Tszyu in the rematch. TBC's official Twitter account announces this rematch between Fundora and Tszyu without the date and location. And with the news of Tszyu versus Fundora fight, the WBA number 7 ranked Australian middleweight Michael Zarrapa is more than willing to step in and fight Keith Thurman next, who was supposed to fight Tim Tszyu. And then last but not least, the WBA has officially ordered Gary Antoine Russell to defend his WBA World Super Lightweight title versus their number 1 contender 24-0 undefeated Andy Hirauka next. And that's all in this video. Now you are completely up to date with the fight world once again. If you like the video, you know what you are supposed to do. Just give your thoughts in the comment section. Your feedback is important for me, and then do whatever you want.